Hello and welcome. Today is our body's birthday, so I thought, hey there. So I thought instead of doing anything, I don't know, scheduled, planned, and hi, we're recording together. I would just kind of do something self-indulgent, so that's what I'm going to be doing. It is Crow, and this is my cat, Kindling. She's purring, it's very cute. Before we get into that, though, this is the body's birthday for reference. Um, we do have our own birthdays. Mine is October 29th. So on this April 29th, I am going to be talking about beloved interests, special interests, hyperfixations, the differences, what they mean, and just kind of a lot of stuff about them. Kind of closing out Autism Month with another autism video. And this is a topic that I love. So we're going to start with a special interest. Mainly, what is a special interest? So special interest, it'll also be written as SPIN, but capitalized in a specific way. You'll see it on the screen right now. It's actually a short form of the phrase special interest area or specialized interest area, depending on who you read. This is a phenomenon occurring in autistic people and specifically exclusively in autistic people where we will have a focused interest in a very specialized area, hence the name, and will generally just become experts in a very specific thing. Our special interests, play a large role in our identity, our ability to self-regulate, our senses of self. And for people with more practical special interests, they'll usually be part of our careers. One of the first prominent observations of this, look at the cat, she'll make you feel better about this, is in the research of Nazi scientist Hans Asperger. He is the same guy that Asperger's syndrome is named after, and that's also why the term Asperger's syndrome and Aspie is violently ableist and anti-Semitic. But anyway, moving on from that, he observed that high-functioning autistic children tended to be kind of just savants in very specific areas of math and science. Over time, that has been a very commonly documented phenomenon in autistic people. It's been proven that we learn better when our special interests are incorporated, that we are much more successful when we're able to use our special interests in our careers and the like. Just generally, our special interests make our lives a lot better. One of my earliest special interests was cats. Oh, are you going? Are you going? No? Okay. They're called special interests because, well, they're specialized interests. There's a bit of, I don't know, controversy, confusion over why special interest is a term specifically for autistic people. Oh, bye, Kindling. Obviously, you don't need to be autistic to have a very deep and specialized interest in something. A ton of people have a very specific interest that dominates their entire life. So this term being autistic exclusive can be confusing for it, but the reason it is because it specifically describes a function of autism. The term is very important to autistic people in our history because the term, the research around the concept and the term itself is some of the first recognition of autism as a potentially good thing and not something that inherently needs to be eradicated. Special interest as a phrase kind of has an implied autistic at the beginning of it because that's what it's for. It's the same way that hyperfixation has an implied ADHD hyperfixation at the beginning of it, even though the word isn't there. It's just not very practically used outside of those cases. So, because special interests are a function of an autistic brain, which is both literally and metaphorically built different from a non-autistic brain, a non-autistic brain cannot have one in the same way an autistic brain can. And I want to be clear, this isn't like to diminish the depth or importance of interests of people who aren't autistic. We're actually going to be getting into something about that in a second. But it's why the term is for autistic people. Like, it's kind of the lore around it. Hyperfixations are related to autism because ADHD is, but a hyperfixation is a form of hyperfocus where someone with ADHD will be intensely fixated on something, generally as a dopamine feedback loop type thing. Usually these will burn out pretty quickly and may go away and come back and go away and come back. People with ADHD have, to simplify it a little bit, a dopamine deficiency. And one of the only ways that an ADHD brain can get dopamine is through external positive triggers. Positive, not meaning it's a good thing, just a thing that makes the body release dopamine. So, hyperfixation will often be for that. It will be a source of very fast dopamine for a limited period of time and then will fade out once it stops giving the dopamine rush it used to. They don't always fade out. Some of them can be very long term, but that's like just a thing. It's also why a lot of people with ADHD will learn certain topics very, very quickly when they're getting the dopamine hits, but then burn out on it when they have to like apply the knowledge in more boring ways. This often occurs in school. Hyperfixation is a term that's begun to be used a bit more broadly in the neurodivergent community as a whole. And I'm not sure how you feel about that specific one, um, but that's for another time. We're talking autism right now. But all that leads to the term beloved interest, which is not a widespread one. It's one that I came up with and started using partly as a reaction to the fact that there isn't a lot of language for similar experiences in people who do not have ADHD or autism. Many people will use obsession, which isn't inaccurate, but is a more like negatively coded word. Personally, I think fixation and intense interest are fine, but they don't really like reflect the level of like like the level of connection that people will often have to their interests to the point it's an integral part of their self, which is why I have started using the term beloved interest as a category to refer to, well, what it says on the tin. An interest that is very focused and often beloved as experienced by anybody. This does include special interests and hyperfixations, to be clear, but it's meant to provide a broader term that still values how holistic people experience their interests, because, like, they do matter to people. People deserve to like feel that their interests are represented, and a lot of people with autism and or ADHD will have interests that are kind of like special interest flavored, but not an actual special interest for whatever reason or another, or just don't want to distinguish between them. So that's kind of what beloved interest as a term is for. It's shortened to I don't know how you'd say it out loud. I'd guess beloved. Yeah, BelovIn would probably be how you'd pronounce it. That will also be on the screen, just so you can see how it's spelled. So, yeah, that's my little self-indulgent ramble on special interests and hyperfixations and beloved interests, which incidentally is a beloved interest of mine, so that's cool. I'm glad you got to see my cat. I love her. She's my best friend. She is fuzzy and steals all my pens. And happy birthday to us. We are now 18. And yeah, I know you probably thought we were like 20. We're not. No, we're 18 now. On this day, April 29th, 2023. So that's cool. We might live stream tonight when this video goes up. You'll have to see. So, yeah. See you around. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to, I guess sure, but you already watched the whole video, so see you. Bye bye.